Welcome back, everybody. Cody Smith, Mount Kisco Country Club. We're talking wedges. All right, we're gonna do a little series here called Wedge-ucation that's gonna help you get dialed in with your wedge game during this quarantine time. I'm at Mount Kisco Country Club, the 9th hole, a par 5. I've just hit a great drive, a great second shot, and it's placed me here, 65 yards away from the green. Now, a couple things that I want to think about when I'm coming into these shots in the scoring zone. Once again, the scoring zone is 80 to 30 from the green. First thing is club selection. We all wish we had plenty of time to train and practice our wedges, so we'd get very familiar with different swing lengths, with different wedges, and the ball going a different distance. And so we want to get really good with one wedge first. All right, I have my Titleist Vokey wedge SM8, and it's a 54 degree of loft. All right, and the main reason I chose this was, first, I can hit it 80 and I can hit it 30. Okay, I can hit the yardages on both ends of the spectrum. So that was a big factor for me. The second factor is the data we get from TrackMan and FlightScope when the tour's going on, and they're behind the players capturing data. And what they're finding is, from this scoring zone, players are launching it at a window of 30 to 40 degrees. Now you might say, how am I going to launch the ball 30 or 40 degrees in that window when I'm using, my 56, my 54 degree wedge? All right, it comes down to the setup. So when the club's straight up and down, that's where you get the loft. Once again, I have a 54 degree wedge. All right, when I address the golf ball, I'm going to put about, call it 4, 5, even 6 degrees of forward shaft lean at address, okay? And then what happens during the golf swing, on average, we add roughly 10 degrees of more forward shaft lean. All right, so just right there, I've taken off 15 degrees of launch from my wedge. So if you have a, let's just do simple math. If my wedge was 55 degrees, I set up to this golf ball with about 5 degrees of forward shaft lean, and then as I come through impact, I'm adding another 10, that's 15. All right, I've changed the loft of that club to 40 degrees. Now, friction plays a role in it. So when I have contact with the club, I'm having a downward descending blow, my angle of attack, maybe -4 to -6 degrees down. Well, that's gonna play a role in launching the ball lower as well. Just as we tee the ball up high with the driver and hit high in the club face to help launch it high with no spin, the opposite applies with the wedge, and it's what we want. Hitting on the lower part of the club face, okay? These bottom grooves. It's gonna help launch it lower and add spin. Now the setup. When I'm setting up to this golf ball, I want a couple things for you to think about at home. First, that ball position. I like to keep the ball in the middle of my stance, right under my sternum. Once again, that comes into play because I want to have total control of this golf club. I don't want to set up to a ball too far back or too far forward where I'm not able to achieve the proper shaft lean and use the club the way it was designed. When I take my stance with my feet, you'll notice it's about 1.5 widths of my club head. Ball in the middle, about my 1.5 stance. Nice solid contact. The next part of our wedge game here is the swing itself. What am I thinking about? What am I trying to do during the motion of this golf swing? The first error that I see generally happen is too much body movement. So take some practice swings where you just feel like your sternum and your head is staying relatively on top of that golf ball with maybe just a little bit of weight moving forward as you come to the finish. The second thing, what are my hands, my arms, my wrists, what are they doing in the motion? I look at all the players out there, there's definitely many different ways of doing it, but the pattern that I like to see is one that would be kind of replica of Steve Stricker. And what I see when I watch his video, I see two things. He doesn't have a lot of hinging motion, and I like that because you're not adding too much shaft lean to the club and possibly taking the leading edge and digging it into the ground. And you're not going to have as much face rotation. Okay, you can lose control of and that awareness of where that club face is when you do that. So what I like to do is I like to feel like dead hands or very minimal wrist hinge happening throughout the swing. And I like my hands to have good width. All right, I like to keep the triangle of my shoulders and my arms staying wide. Never get in tight. I don't want my hands in between my hips because I get too flippy. I want my hands to get outside of my hips when I'm making this motion. Okay? People that have a tendency to add too much hinge motion, they keep their hands in between their hips, and then they get real flippy and you lose control of not just the contact, but once again that club face as well. So we're going to take some practice swings now. We just did practice swings and feeling like we kept the weight pretty central. Now we're going to take some practice swings where I feel like I'm having very minimal wrist hinge motion and I'm keeping width in my hands. Another great shot, traveled about 60 yards. I'm on the green, I'm putting for birdie. Ball position in the middle, stance about a club head or club head and a half width from your heels. The body, keep it center, don't get a lot of hip swing going on. And then the hands and arms, wide with minimal wrist hinge. Dead hands. Enjoy, have fun. Next time you're on that golf course, give this a try.